He is there.
Ah, good. Eric Carpenter on the job. Morning, Eric. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Doing well, thank you.
Give me an idea of what's going on, because we're getting more and more reports on the Gulf Coast, and I think there are several media sources down there who are out as far as power is concerned, towers down and things like that. So it's not a pretty scene. But what do you know so far this morning?
Yeah, we know that as Zeta pushed through, it took down a lot of trees and power lines, and the power outages, the latest I see here is up to 227,000 reported outages in Mississippi.
Wow.
And most of that is in far southeast Mississippi, the coastal areas especially. Mm-hmm. That's where the worst of the damage is.
We did hear that winds were about 104 miles an hour in Waveland, but most of those things were reported on the cuff last night. But what do you know as far as some of the stats on this thing as it came ashore?
Yes, we were, as Zeta came on shore late yesterday afternoon in southeast Louisiana, it was just below Category 3 strength, which is major hurricane status. And it tracked northeast to the coastal Mississippi area, pretty much at about the same strength once it got there. And as you mentioned, wind speeds were being recorded above 100 miles an hour. I would suspect that we probably had some 110 mile an hour gusts on the Mississippi coast, with lesser winds of spreading inland, maybe up to hurricane force as you go up towards the Hattiesburg area.
Jeez, all the way to Hattiesburg.
We did get wind gusts in Hattiesburg. Actual wind gusts there are 58 miles an hour, but in southern portions of Forest County to the south, they were likely getting close to, say, about 70 miles an hour or so.
We did know that a lot of trees are down, and we've heard some people are blocked and some roads are blocked. As far as the casinos, we saw some water coming into in some of the casinos along the Gulf Coast area. As far as bridges and things like that, you haven't heard any damage there, have you?
Haven't heard that. What I understand, though, as far as the storm surge goes, I think we had some observations of greater than 8 feet of storm surge, mm-hmm. and maybe slightly higher even. Saw on social media, but it'll take a few days to survey that. They'll look for high water marks, and we'll see what that would. But they're very well could have been higher than 8 feet. And I understand it may have surprised a few folks who weren't expecting it to be quite that high. But yes, there was a lot of water damage.
Eric, did it come ashore where they said at the mouth of the Mississippi in Louisiana?
Yeah, a little bit to the west of that. I think it was close to the Port Fourchon area, mm-hmm. A little west of Grand Isle. But that was roughly where it came on, and then it went up towards New Orleans and to towards the Hancock County, that area is roughly where it came in Mississippi. So it was pretty close to what was forecast. And I'll tell you what, the thing really didn't mess around too much as far as speed goes. I mean, it was going about 30 miles an hour as it came through. And it's crossed through Alabama, Georgia, and it's already moving into the southern Appalachians, or in the North Carolina area. So
I think it's
really zipped through.
It did, and I guess that's good, because I know a lot of folks woke up this morning expecting to see some here in central Mississippi, maybe certainly over in the northeastern part of the state, maybe to deal with that this morning, and probably were a little surprised like I was with the progress of this. Does it still retain tropical storm strength now?
As of the last advisory, had 60-mile-an-hour winds on the advisory at 4 a.m. We'll be getting an update here soon. At that time, it was located over Georgia, but just looking at satellite, looks like it's moving out of Georgia. One thing I'd like to add, though, as well, we actually did have a tornado touchdown in Knoxville County, and that's something we're going to be surveying today. It was a significant tornado that occurred there.
When you say significant, were there damage done? No fatalities, though, as far as you know?
Yeah, as far as I know, no fatalities, but there was some damage, and we'll be surveying that. But mostly across the state, lots of trees, power lines, especially the southeast part of the state, and that was mostly what the damage was.
I do believe we're going to hear from Mississippi Power coming up a little bit later on a status of exactly, you said 227,000 people are without power. The other thing on this one, I do think I saw where there was one fatality, and I'm not sure if that was in Mississippi or Louisiana. I think it was an electrocution from a down power line.
That's right, and there was what I understand, there was another fatality, unfortunately, in Harrison County due to the storm surge. It was a drowning. That's what I saw reported from our neighboring weather forecast office in Slidell, Louisiana.
That wind you hear is on my mic coming from the ballpark. It's not from the hurricane, so I just let you know that. So most of the situation we have as far as the damage on this one was not so much from rainfall and flooding. Most of the damage of wind and the storm surge.
Yeah, that is correct, and really, Zeta ended up being a little bit stronger than we were thinking, as intensified as it got closer to landfall, and that certainly exacerbated the situation as far as wind goes.
Well, everybody was thinking about it, and you've done this a long time, and a lot of people have, and we thought, okay, the water's a little bit cooler as you get toward the coast. And there were some other things that you guys were putting together that made all of us feel, just I think instinctively, this late in the season, that this thing was probably going to be on a downward trend and not increase but decrease, and just didn't happen.
It's really remarkable how that's been the case this year. This is definitely not the first one. I hope it's the last one. Unfortunately, the season continues, but we've had several this year that have done that, and there's just probably going to be a lot of research that goes into what's maintaining these storms as they get close to the coast, when the cooler water should be helping to weaken them. Instead, they're at least staying steady or strengthening even.
Well, I know what's doing it. It's 2020 doing it. So that's what the research is going to show. I think what's going to happen this year all the way to Thanksgiving, usually it's not a good time for turkeys, but they're probably going to be volunteering this year. That's how weird it is. So, Eric, I thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much, and thanks for the update.
You're very, very welcome. Take care.
You got it. Take care, Eric Carpenter.